everyone, welcome back to my channel and Happy New Year. This channel is about all things insomnia, how to overcome it and get the sleep that you desperately need. So today let's talk about how to fall asleep faster when you wake up in the middle of the night and you're unable to fall back asleep. I know what it's like. I had insomnia. I woke up many times and it was a struggle to try to get back to sleep, if I even was able to get back to sleep. And by the way, if you hear chickens in the background, I live in Hawaii and there are wild chickens everywhere. Plus, I have a cage outside full of chickens in the chicken run. I even have an indoor chicken. She's behind the camera and you can't see her. I have found it is so difficult to avoid getting chicken sounds in my videos when they're loud because there's always someone being loud outside. So we are just going to continue on and just try to ignore the sound of the chickens. So I want to start off this video by talking about why we struggle to fall back asleep. Why does this happen in the first place when we have insomnia? Well, this explanation can explain why you're getting little sleep, why you have trouble falling asleep in the first place, and why you have trouble falling back asleep. So, believe it or not, your brain thinks that there's danger outside. It thinks there's a threat that it needs to worry about and that you need to protect yourself from. Now, I know this sounds bananas, that our brain thinks there is danger. We're just in our house, in our bed. How can our brain actually think that there is danger out there? Well, there are two reasons. Our brain, whether we're scared of, a spider or a snake or a bear or even something that isn't physical, like, scared of heights, scared of not being able to sleep, scared of being awake at night, being scared of being in tight quarters. There's all sorts of different fears you can have. Anytime you fear something and you're trying to escape it, your brain is going to start thinking there is danger out there. It does not know the difference between an actual physical threat and a perceived threat. So if you are getting close to bed and you know you're going to struggle with sleep and you're fearing it, like, oh my God, how am I going to sleep? How am I going to do this? And you're getting frustrated, you're getting emotional, you're scared, you're worried, and all the emotions that we feel, which is totally normal and to be expected. But this fear and trying to escape it by, what do? We pop a pill. We do a meditation. Anything that we can get to try to make ourselves sleep. Any of those pills, supplements, medications, meditations, hypnosis. There's all these different things that we can download on our phone or buy online to try and make ourselves sleep. That is a way of okay, let's do this and try to make it stop and get away from it. Your brain thinks you're trying to escape it. I know that's crazy. It sounds crazy, but it is true. So when your brain sees this fear or notices that you're fearing something, trying to escape it, it's going to activate the fight or flight system. That fight or flight system is going to ramp up and it's going to prevent you from falling asleep. And this is a safety mechanism from back in the primitive days when people would be sleeping outside in the wilderness. They would be sleeping outside and there could be a bear or saber-toothed tiger, whatever, or an enemy tribe. And if there is danger, suspected danger, the brain's going to be activating the fight or flight a little bit more, and it's going to keep you in a lighter sleep. That way, if you need to fight, flee, whatever, you're able to get up quickly. You're able to activate. You're able to take action right away instead of coming from a very deep sleep and trying to wake up and then try to fight the enemy or escape it or whatever. So when we apply this to sleep, if it's getting close to bedtime and you're fearing being awake, you're fearing that you're not going to go to sleep, you're having these fear-based thoughts, it's going to start to trigger that fight or flight system. Now, this video is about when we're waking up in the middle of the night and falling back asleep. Same thing. If you're waking up in the middle of the night and you're like, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to fall back asleep? I hope I'm able to fall back asleep. I'm not going to be up the rest of the night. You're having these fear-based thoughts and your brain's like, whoop, danger, fight or flight system's going to be activated, and then you're going to be up a lot longer, or you're not going to be able to fall back asleep. So just knowing this alone really gives you a good understanding of the direction that you need to take in order to start to sleep more, fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer, fall asleep quickly in the first place so you're not going to bed at like 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning. For me, it was like 6 or 7, I don't know. I used to only get like 2 or 3 hours a night every few days, and the other days I didn't sleep at all. But yeah, so that really gives you an understanding what you need to do to move forward. So now that you understand why this is happening, let's talk about my 5 tips for falling asleep faster. And the first one is to not resist being awake. Now, I know this sounds maybe scary, maybe this sounds impossible. Like, how can we just lay there awake and not resist it and just allow it to happen? We don't want to be awake. We don't want to just like give up and allow things to happen. Well, I promise you, this isn't giving up, and this isn't just like surrendering and throwing in the flag like, I'm okay. I don't need sleep. Not at all. When you are resisting being awake, your brain, again, is thinking there's a threat. You're resisting it. You're fighting it. You're scared of it. When we can start to let go of resisting being awake, over time, practicing this consistently, your brain will start to realize that you are safe. There wasn't a danger the entire time. And then it will start to deactivate that fight or flight system. It'll get lower and lower and lower until you are sleeping amazingly and you no longer have insomnia. When I think about this resisting being awake, I think of one of my clients, Ashley. She came to me and she had this long list of things that she would try to fall back asleep. And this is all totally understandable, by the way. I did the same things. I didn't know that it was teaching my brain that there was danger out there. We don't know this stuff. That's sleep doctors, things like that, they don't teach you this stuff. Anyway, so Ashley had this long list of stuff, and like she didn't want to let go of any of it. She could not handle being awake. She had to take this and that and do this and that, and she had this long list of things to try to force herself to sleep. First of all, we can't control or make ourselves sleep. I know it can feel like that because of sleeping pills and all these different products, and this is a whole nother video that I can talk about this, but you're not actually making yourself sleep, even if you take a pill and you fall asleep. So Ashley and I, we had to work on one by one going through this list. She didn't let go of all these attempts to try to force sleep in a day or 2 days or 3 days, not even a week or 2. I really don't remember from way back then, but I would have to guess maybe 3 or 4 weeks it took her before she slowly let go of everything. She would do one thing, let go, practice that for a little while, she was okay, let go of another, she was okay for a few days. It's just over time she would let go of trying to force sleep to happen. And it does sound scary. It does feel like you're giving up by not trying to make sleep happen, but that is the best way that you can make sleep. Well, you're not really making sleep happen, but that's the best way that you can get more sleep with time, is by letting go of trying to control your sleep. It's only going to raise the hyperarousal levels, your stress levels. It's only going to keep you awake longer as you're trying all these things. And then they're failing and you're becoming more frustrated and upset, which is raising your stress levels, your hyperarousal levels even higher. When we want to bring them down, if you're not trying to force sleep to happen and you're just allowing the sleeplessness, your hyperarousal and stress levels are going to come down and you're going to sleep more with time. Tip number 2, and that is when you go to bed, when you go to lie down and go to sleep, don't lie down and go to sleep. I know this sounds crazy. I know I'm going to say that to everything. Everything sounds crazy. But bear with me. If you lie down to rest instead of sleep, that's going to take off a lot of pressure. You're going to rest, which doesn't necessarily mean asleep. You could just lay there and rest the rest of the night and you would still feel much better the next day. But by going to bed to rest, you're taking off that pressure to go to sleep. I don't know about you, but when I had insomnia, when I'd go to lay down to sleep, there's like pressure to sleep. You're laying there like, am I asleep yet? How much longer till I sleep? How long has it been? Am I going to sleep tonight? Like, you have all these fear-based thoughts that are triggering your brain to think there is a threat out there. So by going to bed to just rest, you are doing a much better job at helping to teach your brain that you are safe. You're taking that pressure off. You're going to lower those stress levels. And believe it or not, if you picture two people, if you have one person that is up trying to force sleep, they're trying all these things, they're trying to make sleep happen, they're going to be stressed, they're going to be frustrated, they're going to be upset, they're going to have a really hard time sleeping. Or they're going to burn a lot of energy as well. It's called emotional fatigue. And we feel it the next day when we're stressed, when we're upset, we're frustrated. It burns a lot of our energy, and we're going to feel it the next day. If you have another person who just lies there and relaxes the whole night, they're going to do way better the next day. They're not going to have all the energy burned. Have you ever had like a really emotional day, you're crying, and then you're exhausted the rest of the day? Same thing, just lying there and resting can regenerate, can renew some of that energy to help you the next day. You're going to feel much better the next day. There's a huge difference. And I didn't really believe it when I had insomnia, but after I tried it a few times, like, wow, I had much more energy to get through the day. Now, obviously, it's not going to be like you slept all night, but you're going to feel way better than if you're up all night trying to force sleep to happen. So all you do when you go to bed, go with the intention of resting, not specifically going to sleep, because you can rest awake. Changing this to, you have to be careful here. If you have the intention to rest so that you can go to sleep, then it's still becoming this sleep effort, trying to control and force sleep to happen, and you start getting frustrated that you haven't fallen asleep. You have to really have the intention of just resting, even if it means you're awake all night. This is going to lead to a better chance of falling asleep faster or falling asleep at all versus someone who's up frustrated and trying to make sleep happen. Their chances of sleep are far less, or they're going to get less sleep overall. Now, before I move on to the next tip, if you want to learn more about how to teach your brain that you're safe, if you want to learn more strategies to get more sleep, then check out in the description box. I have a free Insomnia Crash Course where I will teach you strategies and things I wish I knew when I had insomnia. I wish I knew them sooner. So go click in the description box. The link is in there. It is absolutely free, and it is my gift to you. Now, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and move on to the next tip. Tip number 3 is to do something you enjoy when you are awake at night. And I don't mean just pull out a book or something that is really relaxing and slow to try to make yourself relax and sleep, because again, that is trying to make yourself sleep. There's an intent to try to sleep, and we want to let go of trying to sleep. Now, I'm also not saying go watch a horror movie or something like that in the middle of the night when you're wide awake at night. What I am saying is find something in that moment that feels good to you. Something that would sound good. I mean, in the middle of the night, watching a horror movie just doesn't sound good to me. Maybe it does for you. I don't know. But some things that you could do is read a book, any book. You could listen to a podcast. I have clients that love to listen to podcasts in the middle of the night. When I had insomnia, I couldn't listen to things like podcasts or read a book just because I'd be tired and I really wanted to be able to focus on the words, and I couldn't. And podcasts, I mean, I love learning from them and taking notes. I don't know, it wasn't my thing, but maybe it's yours. You can read a book, you can listen to an audiobook, you can listen to a podcast, and believe it or not, I'm saying you can watch a TV show. You can pull out an iPad and watch a show. Yep, I know. Wait, what? Caitlin, that's electronics. You're not supposed to promote electronics. For people without insomnia, okay, I could see. Electronics can delay your sleep. You can have less sleep because it's going to delay the melatonin production. Yeah, I could recommend that to them if they want to get better quality sleep. Absolutely. Take away the electronics an hour or two before bed. However, with insomnia, if someone wants to watch a show, I actually promote it and encourage it. And I know you're like, but wait, it delays the sleep. You're going to get less sleep. I want you to think about it this way. I want you to picture two different people with insomnia that have the exact identical insomnia symptoms and issues falling asleep. You have one person who is frustrated. They're trying to make sleep happen. They're trying not to do or watch a TV show that is stimulating. They're trying to do the right things and trying to make themselves relax so they can fall asleep, and they're not enjoying their night. They're frustrated, they're upset. And then you have another person, the same person, same symptoms, but they are watching a TV show. They're actually enjoying the TV show. They're smiling. Maybe they're laughing a little. They're not getting all frustrated and trying to make sleep happen. And I don't know, their stress levels are going to be much lower. The hyperarousal levels are going to be much lower. They're going to be laughing and smiling. Yes, maybe their sleep will be delayed. Maybe they'll get a few minutes less sleep. There was a study I saw years ago when I was first learning about this from a sleep coach. Not a sleep coach, sorry. A sleep doctor. And he was talking about the study. And it was only like minutes. I wish I could remember the exact minutes and find the study, but it was only like you lose 6 minutes of sleep or something. I don't know. It was something so minimal. So you're losing a few minutes. How many more minutes do you think you're gaining by actually having lower stress and cortisol levels? You're laughing, you're smiling, you're enjoying a show. I mean, I'd rather be that person on my computer, or not my computer, my iPad, watching a show and having less stress, far less stress than the person being frustrated and trying to make sleep happen. You can avoid the electronics if you like, absolutely. Once I started to watch shows, it was amazing for me. I mean, my night was more enjoyable. It was less stressful, less emotional. And I actually got to laugh a little and enjoy myself. I still, to this day, watch a show until I fall asleep. And I get really good sleep every night. I mean, last night was New Year's Eve, so maybe not the best sleep last night, but anyway, that's beside the point. All I'm saying is you can make the choice if you want to use electronics or not right now while you're in this process. Basically, just do what feels good to you. If watching a TV show sounds good to you, it sounds like it would feel good to just relax and watch a show, then do that. If it doesn't sound good, then don't. You don't have to. It's up to you. You could also just rest. You don't have to do anything. I've had clients, she had anxiety really bad in the middle of the night, and she didn't feel like watching any TV shows. She didn't want to do a hobby or read a book or listen to a podcast. Nothing sounded good because she was anxious. She wasn't feeling good. So she started just resting. She would snuggle up and just rest and be comfortable and not try to make herself sleep. That can be really powerful as well. Just go with your intuition. What feels good? Listen to your body. Listen to your mind. What sounds good to you? What do you want to do in that moment? Another thing you can do is just sit up or lie down and just start thinking about positive memories. It's kind of like watching a show. You're enjoying yourself. You're smiling. Maybe you're laughing. Just kind of close your eyes thinking about different memories. Like when you were doing this, you can kind of put yourself in the scenario in your mind, almost like daydreaming. You can think about being in your favorite place, like at the ocean, listening to the waves, anything like that. My fourth tip for you kind of goes a little bit against what I'm teaching. You have to be careful with this one, but it's to try to stay awake. Again, another thing that's like, what? So when you go to bed, I used to do this and it helped me. You go to bed, you lie down, and you're like, okay, I'm going to stay awake. Instead of like closing your eyes, you can like open your eyes. I'm going to stay awake. 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 And it takes off all the pressure to sleep. Because sometimes just resting there, you still kind of try to pressure yourself to sleep. So like, I'm going to stay awake. I'm going to stay awake. And you keep doing that and then eventually like fall asleep without even realizing it. That's how it was for me. I would just like, whoa, I fell asleep. Once I wake up again, I'm like, that worked. Now, you have to be careful because it can feel like an attempt to make sleep happen. Remember, we're trying to let go and stop resisting being awake. We're trying to stop trying to control sleep. We're going to trying to let go of those sleep efforts. So by saying, okay, I'm going to stay awake. I'm going to stay awake. You're doing this so you can fall asleep. There's that intention to make yourself sleep. It's a little tricky, but if you can, shift your attention to like, I don't want to be asleep, trying to struggle to sleep. I'm going to stay awake. I just stay awake. I don't want to deal with the struggle of trying to sleep. So I'm just going to stay awake. If you can shift that intention away from trying to make yourself stay awake so that you can sleep, the better off you're going to be. But I did it and it helped a lot. It's a little silly because you're like, I'm going to stay awake. I'm going to stay awake. It's not going to keep you awake by doing that. It's just taking off all that pressure and stress to sleep so that you can sleep more. Which brings me to my fifth and final tip, which is to take pressure off yourself. I've already talked about pressure a few times in this video. Well, here we are. We're going to talk about pressure. So what I like to teach about in my sleep makeover program is when we have insomnia, we have a lot of pressure that we place on ourselves to sleep with good reason. The way I like to describe it is like an onion with all its layers. It's tightly layered. There's a tightly layered onion. And then over time, we need to remove some of that pressure so that you can sleep. We're going to be working on loosening those layers of the onion until we can slowly peel off and remove all the layers, as many as we can. Insomnia is full of pressure, and to get better sleep, we need to remove that pressure. Peel those layers off. Get rid of them. So we put pressure on ourselves for things like, how am I going to get through the day? How am I going to be a good mother, father, being a good parent, doing good at your job, doing good at school. I think I already mentioned getting through the day. I'm just trying to think of them off the top of my head. I don't have like a list written next to me. Oh, worried about health risks. There's just all sorts of things. Just what you can do is write down all your fears, worries, any pressure that you can think of. Yeah, any limiting beliefs about being able to sleep again, all these different things, they add pressure layers. So if you can write them all down and slowly work on removing some of these pressures, the better off you're going to be. And the way you do this is, for example, you're worried about, okay, I'm up, I'm only going to get an hour or two of sleep. How am I going to get through the day? Like, that's not enough sleep to get through the day. That's adding a lot of pressure and stress, and I just feel the stress talking about it. And what you can do for that example is look at the past. You have made it through 100% of the days. You have made it through every single day. You have not failed. You've gotten through it. You are much stronger than you think. You'll be able to get through tomorrow. Yes, some of those days might have sucked. You didn't have enough energy. You wanted more energy to do things, but you got through. You will get through tomorrow. You find this evidence like, oh, maybe I am going to be fine. Same thing for work. You might be worried like, I'm not going to do a good job and I'm going to get fired. I'm going to lose my job. You can look back. You have made it this far. Maybe you were tired and it was hard to concentrate on some days. But you got through. You did it. You will get through. And this is all temporary. I know sometimes it can feel like it's going to last forever and it's never going to go away. I had insomnia for 30 years. Don't you think I felt like that? Like, I figured I was just broken. I was going to be like that the rest of my life. But no, it is temporary. You will get there. So go through that list. Find ways you can take off that pressure. And if you need help with some ideas, post it in the comment section below. I'll help you remove that pressure. I'll give you some ideas. So those are my 5 tips to be able to fall asleep faster when you're awake in the middle of the night. And they also apply to the beginning of the night when you're first trying to fall asleep. Now, if you would like more guidance, check out my free Insomnia Crash Course. The link is in the description. So that's it for today, and I will see you in the next video.